You've walked through a door today, probably without thinking. Light enough for one finger, swings inward, and you walk through it without any hassle. On board a ship is a different case. It's a slab of steel, and it might weigh as much as you do. It swings outwards or inwards, depending on the specific location and function. Sometimes there's a lever system around the edge that you have to crank shut before it actually seals. And there's a lip at the bottom that you have to climb over every single time you pass through. If you've ever spent time aboard a ship, you've stubbed your toes on that lip. You've had one of those doors swing back and nearly take your fingers off. Without being on board, you may be wondering why something so simple has to be so difficult. None of it is an accident, and none of it is bad design. Each feature is solving a problem that doesn't exist on land. A door in your house only has to keep out the weather, or burglar. A door on a ship sometimes has to keep out the sea. The first thing you notice about a ship's door is the weight. You have to push and lean into it to open. That weight comes from what it's made of, often the same grade of steel as the hull around it. And in effect, the door is a piece of the ship's structure that just happens to open. And it needs to be for a few reasons. The obvious one is water. A door low in the ship might one day have the sea pressing against it. A flimsy door would simply fold, but a steel one holds the line. The second reason is that the hull flexes, and it takes knocks from waves, from cargo, sometimes other vessels. A door set into a structural bulkhead has to be strong enough not to become the weak point when everything around it is under strain. And there's a quieter reason. To seal properly, the door has to squeeze down onto a rubber gasket running around its frame. That seal only works if the door can clamp shut with enough force to compress the rubber evenly, all the way around. A light door can't do that. The weight and the heavy mechanism that comes with it is part of what makes the seal possible. So, the weight you're fighting against every time you open one isn't the designers being careless. It's the door doing three jobs at once: holding back the water, holding the ship together, and pressing itself shut tightly enough to keep the sea on the correct side of it. Most watertight doors open away from the space they're protecting. Push instead of pull. Now, here's the clever part, and it comes down to which way the water pushes. Imagine you are in a compartment that's started to flood. Water is rising on one side of the door. Normally, it presses on everything around it, including the door. Now, think about which way that pressure is pushing. If the door opens outward, then the water is pushing it shut. The more the water rises, the harder it presses, and the tighter the door seals against the frame. The flood is doing the work of keeping itself contained. Turn the door around so it opens inward, and you get the opposite. The water is now pushing against the door in a direction that tries to open it. So the direction isn't a quirk, it's the water being made to work in your favour instead of against you. There's a second benefit, and this can save lives. Picture the corridor on the other side has flooded, and you're trapped in the compartment behind the door. If that door opened inward, the weight of the water in the corridor would pin it shut, and no one inside could shift it. If that door opened outward, you can still shoulder open and get out, even with water pressing back. The escape route stays an escape route. This is why the rules are written the way they are. For doors that have to hold back water, opening outward isn't a preference, it's required. Now we come to the one you'll remember with your shins. That raised lip at the bottom of the doorway, the one you have to step over every time you go through, well, it has a proper name, and it's called coaming. When waves break over the deck or a pipe bursts, a compartment starts to fill, and suddenly there's water running along the floor looking for somewhere to go. On a flat threshold, it would simply flow straight through the doorway into the next space, and the next, spreading through the ship. The coaming stops that. It's a low wall across the bottom of the door. Even with the door wide open, a few inches of water sloshing about on the deck can't get past it. The water has to rise above the lip before it can cross into the next compartment. That's also why the height changes depending on where you are. Low in the ship, or in the spaces where flooding is a serious risk, the coamings are tall. Up in the accommodation, where danger is smaller, they shrink down or disappear. The height is a readout of how worried the designers were about water in that particular spot. You might think that everything we've described so far would be enough to seal the door, but it isn't. A door that's merely pushed shut could be just shut and not watertight. To actually seal it, it has to be secured, and that is a separate job. Look around the edge of one of these doors and you'll see a row of clamps spaced along the frame. They're called dogs. Their whole purpose is to pull the door tight against its gasket and hold it there. Remember that rubber seal from earlier? The one running around the frame? Closing the door brings it up against that rubber, but only resting against it. To make it watertight, you have to squeeze, and the dogs are what do the squeezing. As you tighten each one, it draws the door harder onto the gasket, compressing the rubber until it fills every gap. Do up all the dogs and the door is clamped down evenly the whole way round. Now it's sealed. There are two main ways that this is done. The traditional kind has a separate dog at each point, and you work your way around tightening each one by hand. It's slow, but it's simple, and it's reliable. The quick-acting kind links all the dogs to a single central wheel or lever. One movement and every dog closes at once. It's faster, which matters when water is coming and every second counts. But it's more mechanism to maintain. On a ship, closing a watertight door and securing a watertight door are two different actions. Pulling it shut does almost nothing on its own. The seal only happens when someone takes the extra few seconds to dog it down. That gap between a door that looks closed and a door that's actually secured is exactly where things go wrong. But we'll come back to that. You might have been picturing a single type of door this whole time. There isn't one. A ship has different doors for different jobs, and using the wrong one in the wrong place can be as bad as having no door at all. Start with the one we've mostly been describing, the watertight door. This is the heavyweight, rated to hold back the sea under full pressure, the kind that might end up with a flooded compartment on one side of it. These are the doors with the dogs and the gaskets and the coamings, and they're tested regularly to prove they still seal. They live low in the ship and in the bulkheads that divide it into compartments, the divisions that are supposed to stop a flood in one space from becoming a flood everywhere. Then there's the weathertight door. Its job is to keep out spray, rain, and the odd wave slapping against it, not to hold back a standing body of water. You'll find these higher up and around the outside of the accommodation, where the worry is weather rather than submersion. And then there's a door doing something else entirely. The fire door. This one isn't thinking about water at all. It's built to stop fire and smoke from spreading through the ship, so it's insulated and it's rated to hold back flame and heat for a set length of time. Many of them close themselves, swinging shut automatically so that a fire can't spread just because somebody left a door open. The reason a ship carries all three is that the rules divide the vessel into zones, and each zone has its own dangers. Down where flooding is a threat, you get watertight doors. Where the sea only reaches as spray, weathertight ones will do. And running through the whole ship, wherever fire could spread, are the fire doors. Each is matched to the thing it's there to stop. If you've lived aboard a ship, you know the sound. A door letting go and crashing shut hard enough to make you jump. There's a real chance you've also seen someone catch a finger on one, because it happens, and it isn't gentle. We've already established these doors are heavy, but a lot of doors aren't only heavy, they're sprung. fitted with a closer that actively drives them shut. So the door isn't just falling closed, it's being pushed. And there's a reason for that, which goes back to the fire doors. A door that's meant to hold back smoke is no use if it's standing open when the fire starts. The whole point of a self-closing door is that it shuts on its own, so the door is built to close itself, which is also why you're not allowed to prop them open. In 2014, the crew of a small passenger ship were running a routine drill, testing the watertight doors. The chief engineer went to step through one, and it closed on him. That door shut with the force of well over a ton. He was trapped for several minutes before anyone found him, and he didn't survive. That's the thing to sit with. That strength that makes these doors safe is the same strength that makes them dangerous. So, the design comes down on the side of the ship and asks the people aboard to treat it with respect. Which brings me to you. If you've spent any time aboard ships, you'll have your own history with these doors. Mine is mostly my head. I've lost count of the number of times I've misjudged a coaming or a low frame and walked straight into steel. So, please tell me in the comments, what's your experience with ship doors? Is it the shins, the fingers, the head, or somewhere else we've not anticipated? Please, we would love to hear them all. And that's really the whole story of the ship's door. Heavy, to hold back water and hold the ship together. Outward swinging so the sea presses it closed. A high step to stop a flood at a threshold. A row of dogs, because closed and sealed aren't the same thing. Built to slam so it's shut when it matters. Every feature you trip over is solving a problem the sea creates. And none of it is there to annoy you. That door could be the only thing between one flooded room and a ship that doesn't come home. Thank you everyone for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this topic about doors, please leave a like down below. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and make sure to ring that notification bell to stay up to date with each new video that comes out. Make sure to comment down below and tell us your thoughts about the doors, and if there's any topics you would like us to cover in subsequent videos. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.